Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Uncommon Comedy Podcast. I am your host, Brian April. As always, all of our episodes can be found on the Apple Podcast, Google's Podcast, on Spotify. If you want to see the video versions, they're on Facebook and on YouTube. Just search Uncommon Comedy Podcast. Easy for me to say. If you have any questions or comments about each episode, please feel free to put them down in the comments below. Or if you want, you can catch up with me. I live stream 3 days a week on Twitch, and that's twitch.tv/ComedyBrian. You can also find me at youtube.com/ComedyBrian, facebook.com/ComedyBrian, and again, twitch.tv/ComedyBrian. So come check us out. Today's guest, I'm really excited to have him on. I've gotten to know him a little bit. He is one of the hottest rising stars in stand-up comedy, and without question, in the next 5 to 10 years, he's going to be a household name, and you will know him. And I'm very excited to get to talk to him today and get to hear a little bit about his story, which we haven't really talked about. So please welcome the very, very funny Mr. Jason Cheny. Jason, what's up, man?
You gave me an amazing intro, man. I did not expect that.
Well, you're an amazing comedian.
Hottest rising star. And it seems like you meant it, too, because you're like, 5 to 10 years. I don't want to say 2, because just in case the pandemic is right. But, for 10 years, hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to put that pressure. I didn't want to put that pressure. You got to do it now.
But that was a perfect intro. You're great. You're great at the intro, bro.
Oh, thank you, man. No, but I truly mean it, man, because, I've seen a lot of people. I've seen people, go past me and see people blow up and do great things. And, you just have that whole package, man. You're really funny. You're very likable. You're very humble. You're professional, and you work really hard at it, and you're just gonna kill it. I have no doubt. So I'm excited to have you on here before you're too big to be around us.
No, never too big. Never too big. That's the thing. But thanks for having me on, and also it's the same to you. You're out here. You're like, because right before this started, you were just telling me all about this StreamYard. Shout out to StreamYard. They're gonna sponsor this podcast eventually. Yep. You see that? And
yeah,
also, no. But so much about it, and you're in Twitch, all the platforms, and it's really cool to hear that. And thanks for being patient to explain some of those things to me.
Oh, my pleasure, man.
Yes, not everybody like that. Some people like to keep secrets. Not you, baby.
Yeah,
so I appreciate it.
Yeah, there's no point. We're all here to help each other, and I really do believe a rising tide, floats all.
I agree with that.
All ships. So, and it just comes back. So, the thing I want to say about your act that I love, I always start off saying this, is you come across so genuine, so funny. You have really good energy, very high energy, which I love. But people feel like, at least I do anyway, when they're done watching you, that they know who you are, and they feel like, they know who you are as a person, and they connect with you, and they feel like they're friends with you. And that's such a nice, way to go about connecting with people on stage. So that's one of my favorite things about watching you perform. It's just how you bring everyone in.
I wish my dad was here to listen to this, man. I'm so proud to hear somebody that's, besides me, to tell them I'm doing my best. But thanks. Yeah, I because like all comics, I'm for sure insecure in a lot of ways. And I know that one thing I could do is be myself. And that's so hard though, but I don't have anything else. I don't have any skills already. So I'm like, well, I want to try to be as myself as possible, and also be as positive as possible, because there's enough negativity, there's enough other things, so I don't know, because comedy always helped me to forget about bad times, and even off stage, I just try to keep it positive and try to keep it lighthearted, because there's people debating all the time and negativity all the time. I'm repeating myself now, but that's why I try to be that way. I try to.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't, because I'm human. I make mistakes. I make a bunch of mistakes that maybe you haven't seen, but a lot of people have, and but I want to learn from it, and I don't want to do it again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think one, we can get your dad to watch or listen to this when it comes out. We'll just clip it and you can send it to him. So you'd be like, hey, look at that. But the other thing we could do is no, I totally agree with you about just being human and being nice, and just trying to be yourself. And that's something that so many comics, how long have you been doing comedy?
Right now, 9 years.
9 years. Okay. So
Yeah.
There's so many comics, especially when they start out, they try to be another person. They try to be another comic.
I was, bro.
Yeah. Did you do the same thing? I think we all do.
For the first like 2 years, I was weird. I was like black for half a year, and then for another half a year, I was Italian, and then for another half year, I'm back to like super weird Asian. Like, because I just try to, I try to imitate whoever I love, and also you're growing up, so you don't really know who you are. Sorry to cut you off. What were you saying?
Oh no, that's kind of the thing. It's such an important step to be who you are and be you on stage, just an enhanced or amplified version of it.
I'm still trying to figure it out. I feel like we're all trying to figure it out because we never stop growing,
Right. That's the cool thing. It's no matter how many years you've been doing it, you just go, oh, well, here's something new.
Yeah. And also I feel like I was thinking that this is a weird thought that I had the other day. I feel like we humans, I know we're always trying to live longer. Like longevity is always the human species goal. But I feel like we're just all living longer than we're supposed to. Is that a weird thing to say? because it's like we peak at around 25 and everything just really goes downhill. Like, are we supposed to keep going? You know what I'm saying? If it's going downhill, like, aren't we just supposed to, okay, here it is. Like, you know what I mean? This is the best. I don't know. Is that negative?
I think that physically, we probably peak there. But I think mentally, at least for me, as I've gotten older, I'm 47 now. So I've just enjoyed this part of life.
You look good for 47, man.
Oh, thank you. That's the facial paralysis froze me at 35. So
no, it's a smooth skin, baby. I don't know, but it's smooth on both sides.
Oh yeah. So when I'm 70 though, this side will be like smooth, and this side's
20.
Gonna be like
70.
Yeah, I look like a Batman villain. I look like Two-Face. But I think like when I turned 40, I just stopped caring about all the nonsense, the little day-to-day nonsense that everybody is so important to people, like what other people think about you and all that all that sort of stuff, and all the little drama. I'm just like, I don't need that. So that's I gotta say, it's kind of a nice feeling. So
nice.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about you. Who or what inspired you to do stand up?
Every time, because there's so many. Sometimes I get caught up in my words because there's just so many reasons why, and then also there's no reason. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Like, but one main thing that I wanted to highlight is that I really thought about this throughout the quarantine. Is that when I was a kid, I was always a kid with a desk for myself. Like there's like, because I grew up in Taiwan, and there's like 50, 60 kids in one class, and I always had my own desk because I was too loud, all this. And then so I didn't have a lot of regular friends. I have 2 friends in every single class, and they're all F students, and they're all goofy people. And then my parents, Asian discipline is a little different than American style. So it was just negativity every day. And every time when I go to class, I'll roast the teachers, or I'll make like a goofy noise, and then I'll like get kicked out of class, but I'll get a laugh out of the students, or me and my friends will goof off for the whole class. And some kids obviously don't like it, but a lot of kids is like, yeah, recess, or whatever. And then they'll kick us out. And that was like the only happy moment, is when I get to goof off before I get kicked out. And I think that just carried throughout life. Like whenever I feel negative or whatever, I just try to like run away, which is not healthy. So I don't think that's a healthy way to live. but I think that's what it is. And then also, I didn't know about stand-up comedy until I moved to America. I moved in 8th grade. But the first time I saw stand-up was in 9th grade. And I really got into it when I was in 10th grade because my English was a little better then. And I loved, but I didn't know that originally I loved Rowan Atkinson. And that was like one of the first, he was like big. And Rowan Atkinson, Jim Carrey, because even when I didn't speak English, they still have that goofy animated thing, which, I could be, oh, that's fun to watch, So, but after that, I loved Kevin Hart's early stuff. I mean, there's so many greats now, like Bill Burr, Ronnie Chang, Yeah, Asians like Ali Wong, Bobby Lee, Joe Coy, yeah, all those guys. Yeah, so that's what really inspired me is those two things. I kind of went on a rant, but
no, it's perfect.
Yeah,
it's interesting where people use comedy, just to get some of that positive reinforcement or some good feelings, because there's so many comics. That's kind of how I got hooked into it. Was I was in a bad relationship and I tried comedy for a few months. I could do voices, and so I went to a class reunion and I was just miserable, and then I made people laugh, and I was like, oh, what is this? I feel good. Okay,
Dude, I can't imagine you had balls to go to a class reunion, dude. I can't imagine being at a class reunion. I haven't gone to one, and I don't think I ever will until I become successful. Then I'm gonna go be like, guess who made it?
There you go.
Believe me.
Yeah.
I just want to do that.
Well, it's interesting when you go to a class reunion, you see you go, oh, someone peaked too soon. You know what I mean? Like you see people who were like amazing in high school or whatever, and you see what they've become, or you try to be nice with their, there's people that were even like the super popular kids that were nice, and so you go up and say, hey man, like there was one person I was like, you were always super nice to everybody, no matter, and she was like one of the most popular people, and so you have like cool conversations, and you see how people kind of mature, and then you see how some people don't mature at all. Like, well, all right. So anyway, but yeah, comedy's been I've loved comedy since I was like 10 years old, so I just have such a thing about it. So tell me about your first show. Do you remember your first show?
Yeah, it was at Saul's Comedy Hole in LA, but I was living in San Diego then, and I was working a full-time job at a Radio Shack. The Radio Shack still exists, so I was doing that, and then I would drive every night to LA, but the first one was in LA. So I literally just Googled open mics. Well, the first thing I did was I went to the La Jolla Comedy Store just to watch like an open mic. And this is a funny thing. And I told this to Jeff Bilodeau too, because the first show that I ever watched, it was like live. It was like Kevin Hart, some stand-ups, but the first one that was local was at the La Jolla Comedy Store. I saw Jeff Bilodeau and a bunch of open micers.
Okay.
And then there was like maybe I've never gone to a live stand-up show that's not in a theater or in an arena. So going from that to 10 people, I did not like. I was like, this isn't comedy, right? Like this is, and my whole life. So that was the first time live, at a local spot. And I saw, but I was like, dude, these people, I could do this. And then, but the thing is, on the whole line, there's like 10 comics. Jeff Bilodeau killed it though, because you know how like he's a great comic overall. It was a terrible. There was like 10 people, and the comics were bombing, and he just went up. He killed it. I was like, yo, that guy. Besides that guy, everyone else was bad. And then I was like, I could do this. So when I started, Saul's Comedy, I started bombing. And then I go to La Jolla Comedy Store. I did the open mic, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is really hard.
Yeah, it's definitely hard. So what was the? Do you remember the experience of that first show? Were there a lot of people? Or
that one? There was like that one's kind of a fluke too, because there was maybe 8 to 10 comics at the show, and I remember it was Jason Ben Glass, great comic. I didn't even know him then, but he was the host of that show. And he was calling out the names of the people. And I didn't know you had to sign up. Okay, they made you pay to go get a spot on the open mic. Okay. And I snuck in, but I didn't know that only if you pay, you could put your name there. I didn't even put my name there because the host was like, oh, you didn't pay, you didn't get a ticket or whatever. But they were calling out people, and then they called out Jason. And then, but I didn't sign up. It was like another Jason, And then the host was like, "Is there another Jason? I mean, is there another Jason?" They were like, "Is Jason here?" And when he said it the second time, I was like, "That's me." And then he's like, "You're not Jason so and so." And I was like, "Yeah, no." And he's like, "All right, well, you're up." And then I just went up and I didn't have no material. I just talked about how I visited the hospital, and I got like one chuckle from one comic. And when I walked off, the comic was like, "Hey, that was great, man." And I guess that's all I needed to bomb.
Wow. That's funny.
That was the first time.
That gets you hooked right there.
Yeah. You've been doing it a while though, right? How long have you been doing it?
I've been doing it over 23 years.
Do you remember your first one?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I had two first ones. One, I did comedy for about 6 months after I graduated high school.
Yeah.
And then I did, and that was basically, I had all my friends there or whatever, and I did great. And then the first time when I got back in 97 and I did it, that's when I really counted as 97 is when I started. I did an open mic, and I had two friends that had come to me. It was in a bank vault, this place called Dick Doherty's Comedy Vault. It was basically an old bank, and the green room was the actual vault of this old bank. Cool.
I gotta say, that's kind of cool.
And it was just this tiny little, club that sat maybe 30 people. It was downstairs from a bar, and I just remember going up and feeling like I did amazing. Looking back, it was probably, I would claw my face off at what I did, but I had the voices, so that that at least a little bit of time and a little bit of laughter, and so I remember it not being horrible. Thankfully, it was a lot better off than I thought it was, than a lot of people's stories. So, but so you go up there and you get one chuckle that you feel happy with. How long did it take before comedy started to click for you? So before you stopped going up the really good shows, the really bad shows, so you started to kind of level out consistently?
Level out consistently. I think my progression is pretty normal considering just I wasn't because some comics, they just got it. They was just super talented. They just got it from the beginning. I wasn't one of those guys. It took me a while. It took me, I would say 4 years maybe to get it, even to start being okay, this is, I guess. But then it was still hard. I mean, maybe 2-3 years ago, I think. But really going up a lot, because I try to go up as much as I can, because I just hear everybody, oh, you just got to go up. Sometimes people say, oh, that's cliche, but it's like anything. You gotta do it. I'm always surprised that repetition and consistency will make you better at pretty much anything you do. You'll get better at it if you just keep doing it. And it always surprises me that you get better. Because I'm always so negative. I'm like, dude, it's not gonna be good. It's not gonna get better. But then because I during the quarantine, I bought this ball. Side note, I bought this ball where it hangs from your head, and then you kind of just punch it.
Yep.
I look like the Tasmanian devil in the first time I did it. I couldn't even get it, but I just kept doing it every day, and by the third day, I had a rhythm, and I was like, I can't believe it. I was like, dude, all you gotta do is just keep doing it. Yeah. So I think, and I think going up a lot really helped. But I also understand that when people say it's not helpful if you go to all the 7 open mics a night, because then it's really draining your soul, your energy. And sometimes it's not a good gauge on your jokes. Right. And, I'm sure you know this. Yeah, I'm just saying that's also my experience. But I also just always want to just get up. You get something, a little bit of something. Yeah.
Well, I think, I think I agree and I disagree on certain aspects. I think to me, it's not about just getting stage time. It's about getting quality stage time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
If you get up and it's the laundromat and there's, half a person there, and you go, okay, I could get the same effect being at home talking to my mirror. But I think where I see a lot of open micers, and you are not an open micer, but where I see a lot of people, especially in the beginning, or who are trying to get those get that stage time, as much stage time as you want. I still remind myself of this too, is have a goal when you go on stage, right? So that it's not a waste, so that it is a valuable thing. So it's like, that repetition, it's like, okay, well, tonight I'm going to not say, or tonight I'm not going to flub this punchline, or tonight I'm going to try with the mic in the stand, or I'm going to try not to do this nervous tick thing that I do, or just have a goal, whether there's people there or not. A lot of people or all the comics just go, well, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to try to play to the whole room, even though I won't get laughter or whatever.
Yeah,
So
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you that to just have a goal. But there's so many things to say about that too, because sometimes you go to the open mic and there's other comics there, and it's also a part of the business or part of the work to like meet other comics. They're pretty much your coworkers, and in one aspect, most comics aren't like that, but some comics that you're friends with, you kind of feel the camaraderie and you're like, oh, let's do this together. And also maybe you'll get a tag like in a laundromat, or even just build some sort of relationship. Not always the case,
right.
But I just always want to look for something that I do to be like, okay, that felt like majority of the waste of the time, but at least that one thing I got either a relationship or a tag, or like, or I just said something out loud for the first time, like maybe a stem of idea. Because on the opposite side, where when you do a decent show, is that you do have the pressure to perform, and you do have the pressure to kill. So you would take less risk. At least I do a little less risk than if you were at open mic. And that's just my opinion, though. But,
yeah, no, absolutely. I think especially if people are paying to see you, so you're paying to see a show. You play the hits. You give them your best. But if it's an open mic, then I always do stuff that's proven, so I can gauge the crowd, and then I can do the new joke, and I can gauge it based off of the reaction.
Yeah,
proven joke.
Yeah.
So that's always what I do. But yeah, you're so right, though. You could meet one person at a hell gig, and that person can totally change your career. Like it's
not necessarily. That would be amazing. That has never happened to me. But like just meeting even a friend that would be supportive, because it's pretty gruesome most of the time. But if you just meet where we have like a little group of friends that were like, okay, like these people are cool that I could at least console to or whatever, like in this such a hard business. So so even just like a relationship.
Well, yeah, but I'll give you an example. I did a terrible bar show at this place called it's actually this pub in Poway or whatever, and I met a comic there. The show was terrible. I got a great line from the audience out of it, but I met this comic there, and then she ended up introducing me ultimately to someone who became my manager for a while, who introduced me to someone else who became my manager, and then that took me across the country into different clubs and to all these sort of things. And then through all of that, then I ended up getting to sit in on a table read in The Simpsons, and so like all those little turns.
See, it's always like a little seed, and then one thing leads to another.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So without doing that show, maybe we meet on a different show, and I'm having a bad day, or she's having a bad day, or whatever. And that stuff doesn't happen. So
you never know. You got to be out there. I think being out there is half of the battle.
Yeah. You definitely got to put the FaceTime in, but you also got to put the stage time in as well. So
definitely.
So what is the best advice that you've received about doing stand-up?
I don't really have one, but I think my answer is just to be be really open to everything. To all my advice is to be open to all the advice. Yeah, because everybody who tells you something, you don't necessarily have to implement it, and everybody's a little different. So something might work for me, might not work for you, but it's still good to know it. I think that's my advice, is that to be open to all the advice that either somebody that's new that gave you, or somebody that's a veteran who gave you, or even a booker even if it's terrible advice, it's still a perspective that somebody has that, you know, if they thought of it, somebody else might have think of it too. Maybe terrible advice, but that's how I try to go about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's always important. You just keep an open mind, and if it works for you, great. And if not, you just brush it aside.
But that goes for everything though. Like either on how if somebody tells you how to write a joke or how they do it, or like what, you know, you got to get up every time, or like to how to like compartmentalize the anxiety or whatever it may be that help you grow as a person. Because if you grow as a person, I feel like you will grow in your career as well. That's how I feel. And yeah, in all the aspects, either, you know, writing to performing to, yeah, everything. Yeah.
You mentioned anxiety, which do you still get anxious before shows?
Oh, totally. Yeah. I think it may be, I think it may be at this point, it's just sometimes I get nervous. It depends on what shows. It's like, you know, sometimes it's a high pressure show. Then you're like, oh man, I got to do good. But I still try to do some breathing exercises. I try to do that. And like I write a list of things, just try to calm me down. So I'll read it and go, okay, these things. But, and you know, there's bad days. Everybody has bad days. Like there's some days that you don't get enough sleep and you just get more anxious than others. But yeah, I still get nervous for sure. But that's why we do it though. It's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get nervous?
I do for, you know, the bigger shows.
Yeah.
I call it more excited.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like there's always that sense of like, anxiety, not the oh, I hope I'm funny, because at a certain point you go, okay, I know I'm funny and I know I'm capable of, you know, what you're capable of doing. But it's like, oh, I hope the people really enjoy this, or I hope that the show goes well, or I hope that the guy before me doesn't go up and, you know, walk the room. Or, you know, there are other anxieties in my head for the show. Then, but again, when you get those high pressure shows where it's like, you know, you're filming something, or you're, you know, you're auditioning in front of somebody, or those sort of things, you're like, oh, okay, you know, you still get nervous. So let me ask you this: what is your writing process like?
I like to make like a bullet point, and then like an idea I have, I'll just write it down somewhere, and then I'll go on stage, and I'll be excited to be like, oh man, I got to tell this thing to my friend. Like that is always the best bits come out of that, is just when I have a bullet point and I'm excited to like tell people about it. That's pretty much. And then after the show, I'll listen to it. Like, you know, I'll always listen to my set and I'll see where I could take out words or put in a better word or tag or better line. And I'll just continue doing that. I'll sometimes write down a joke, but the best jokes and best bits that I have is all from write down a bullet point and then go on stage with it and try it out.
Gotcha. So
you're more of a write down guy, right? Like your practice, it seems like your act is like calculated.
Yeah, mine is. It's very. I don't write it down as much. Believe it or not, I'm more of a rant comic. So what I'll do is, for example, when I try to come up with ideas, I'll make lists and I'll go, okay, things about me, things I love, things I hate, like those are, and I list them out. Or, you know, if something happens to me that I go, oh, that's funny, then obviously I have that. But if I'm trying to come up with something from scratch, then I'll go, okay, I'll pick a topic and then I rant about it for about a minute, because that's just more of who I am, and I'll record it.
Yeah.
And then I'll go, oh, that's kind of funny. You know, it gets me thinking about that. And then I go back and then I'll say it like 10 times to kind of get the marbles out of my mouth and kind of start to edit it a little bit the way I naturally speak. And then once all that's done, then I'll like write it down. And that way I have it, you know, written somewhere. And then I can really fine tune the, you know, the
words.
Yeah.
I think we're similar in how we do it.
Yeah. Mine's all just, you know, I hate writing it down.
Yeah. Besides that part. Yeah.
Yeah.
You must have a good memory to do that, because to me it's like if I need, you know, I still got to write out a set list. I mean, I don't want to. Like, I got into comedy so I don't have to do a lot of things, you know. So, but
dude, I wrote out
get a bit though, or like a bullet point.
Like 19 years, I think, maybe 19, 20 years.
So did you actually wrote down things in the beginning?
Oh, I always wrote down a set list. Yeah.
Oh.
I would always write down a set list, and then before I would just look at it and just go, you know, it's this.
Mm.
And then I think it also depends on how much time I'm doing. Like if I'm doing an hour or something like that, I'll write it out because there's certain things that have to go in order. But if I'm only doing like a 15, 20-minute spot, I know I can go up there. I have plenty of material. I don't have to worry about anything being out of order. Like you can just kind of go, okay, for the first 10 minutes, I'll do this type of material, and you can just cut and paste on stage and play and, you know, maneuver. And I still will have like, I know for my act, like all my weight stuff is first, then my face stuff is second. And then I get really into like the voices and the other stuff. So like, I always know, I may not know exactly which jokes I'm going to do from each, but I always,
you know, like the ebbs and flow transition.
Yeah, so I know that the first part's going to be, you know, this section, and then I can pick and choose what I want. And then this section, I can pick and choose what I want. Because I used to be so robotic. And it was like, no, I have this, I have this, I have this, I have this. And it was just, you know, so, because I always was told to develop an act and then just, you know, hone it. So that's what I did. And so it was like, this always comes first, this always comes second. And then I'm allowing myself to kind of play a little more. And just kind of go, oh, I want to, maybe I'll do this, or I'll try this, or mix things up. It kind of
feels better that way too, to have more freedom.
Yeah, I think I do think so, but I also like in certain cases it's developed. For me, it was developed with a very specific set of like, okay, here are the stronger bits. Here's kind of the natural flow, and as you get better and replacing them, you know, you just start to go, I can just kind of mess around. Yeah, it's kind of fun.
But sometimes to add to that, I mean, the opposite of that, like sometimes I like to just, for the first 3 or 4 minutes or whatever, or even 3 minutes, just to do something super different, just to like jumble it all up. You know what I mean? Like kind of like shuffling the cards just to see if I could get out of it or do it, you know?
Right.
Yeah, I know that like I have a comic friend, he's like, no, you're just chasing adrenaline now. But that's not the truth. The truth is like, because comedy, you know, like you can't predict if somebody's gonna heckle you or whatever's gonna happen. There's so many like different aspects. There's like, you know, the age group, and then the different ethnicities, they appreciate different things because they have a different arsenal of references. So it's like sometimes I just, because you know, everybody has their strength and weaknesses, and I know my weakness is to like just stay out of my material. That's my weakness. Yeah. So a lot of the times up top, even if it was a new joke, to make me feel like, okay, like I don't have a net, like either this will bomb or it'll go decent, you know? I like to do that as well, just to, you know, jump it all up. Yeah.
No, not me. I would like to at least go, okay, here's my base, you know, and like, let me get started with getting them to know who I am, my personality, getting them to like me, and they know I'm funny.
Yeah,
then
I get you, man. But it's kind of like that Bruce Lee thing. Like you gotta be like water. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, in the beginning, you know, if they're not feeling it, you kind of, you know, go out, be, you know, adapt is how. But I get what you're saying, though. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel always more robotic and like a machine, where it's like, I'm gonna beat you down and wear you out, and you will come over to my side. It's more of that kind of thinking.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, you know, as opposed to going, oh, they're not digging this or whatever, let me kind of adapt. I'm like, no, I'll get you. Like, you know, I'll get you. You know, it'll take a second or so. I guess it just depends. Each show is different. Each audience is different, as you said. So it's such a weird process that you can do the same timing, same words, same inflection, same everything. 2 completely different reactions.
Yeah.
And I guess that's kind of what keeps us doing it, is because we're like, how is this? Why did that not work this time?
Yeah.
Or why did this work? So here's one of my favorite questions. What is or was your worst show ever?
My worst show, I mean, I've bombed in everywhere. I've bombed on colleges, corporate events, weddings, laundromats, we all bombed in all those places. I bombed in a theater. Um, I did an hour. I did an hour at a college in front of 2,000 people. I bombed for an hour. So just keep that in mind as a premise. But this day, everybody has off days, and it's like, imagine your worst day possible, and then it's like, your tire popped, and then like your wife, you're fighting with your girlfriend or wife or boyfriend or husband or whatever, fighting, and then now this is like your third mic, and then you're like 3 hours away because that's how crazy you are to get stage time, and is at this coffee shop. This is like my second or third mic, and I go in, and there's this Santa Claus on stage playing the ukulele and singing terribly, all right? And it's not Christmas, but he was Santa Claus like in June, okay? And there's no stage, so just the coffee shop, and in front of the window, 4 to 5 steps in front of that, there's like, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 tables, and there's like a couple there, and like a musician, and like maybe another poet, and the bar is on my left. If this is a stage, that's where the people are sitting. There's a bar over there for like coffee, bagels, like muffins, all the good stuff, cookies, all the attraction pretty much. So people are coming in and walking, across, listening to the Santa Claus, and then there's like a group of bros and I'm nervous. I'm super nervous. This is like maybe 2 years in, and the host is like, "Oh, so I signed up," and then I was supposed to be next, and the host is like, "No, we'll just have, the Santa Claus go another 3 minutes." So you get a total of 8 minutes. So this Santa Claus, he's doing the ukulele, and halfway through he'll stop and he'll plug like, "I got coupons if you want coupons after the show." Like, and I'm like, what is happening? And I've been waiting already for like 30 minutes, and finally the Santa Claus did 15 minutes, and then now you're already supposed to get 8. The host made it clear we all get 8. And then the host goes up. Now he's doing a raffle. Now he's promoting the muffins. Now he's promoting the chocolate chip cookies 2 for 1. And then he's like, I was literally standing next to him because there's a small place. And then he goes, "What's your name?" Like, I'm right here. He's like, "What's your name?" I'm like, "Jason." And he's like, "Okay, guys, Jason." And then he just hands it to me like this. And I grab it. And then I was like nervous. And then I remember I was doing this bit about littering. And it's at a place where it's a little more progressive, a little more hippie-ish. And then I just go, I love to litter. The moment I said that, the old couple that was sitting was like, "Oh, well, why?" and I was like, no. Not that I do. I just said I want to. And then he's like not having it. And like, now because he was loud, so now like the place is a little more quiet because the place, like, people are like, because I think I'm like the only 2 comics or whatever, and then the other comic is like super progressive, and then the owner started looking at me like I see everybody now, and I was like, "Okay, well, how you guys doing?" Like just the crowd work with the old couple, and the host was like, "Hey, can you just do your stuff?" And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, dude, I am doing my stuff. Like there's no stuff. That's why I'm trying to do crowd work. And then 3 minutes in, I'm like sweating. And then the owner of the coffee shop was like, "Hey, can you finish up? You went over your time. Everybody does 8 minutes." And I look at my phone, it's like 3 minutes, 20 seconds. and there's like now 8 artists waiting to go up. And then I left the coffee shop, and I was walking to my car, and I couldn't make it to my car. I squatted down, and I couldn't breathe. Like that was probably the worst show. And I remember one of like the poets or whatever like came after me and was like, "Hey man, you were great. You just gotta keep going." And I was like, I would never forget that day. I don't know why that day was so prominent to me. I think nothing really topped that. It's just a mixture of like, that was kind of long, sorry, but it's just a mixture of like a bad day and like that whole crazy. I don't know why that day was so bad for me.
Yeah, just one of those things where it's like, and you can't really like go back at the owners and be like, hey, no, I didn't go over, I didn't go
Exactly.
over time.
You can't. It's her place.
Right.
Yeah, and you can't be like, no, I'm just doing what I can to do crowd work. I know it's not funny, but I'm trying. It's like, you can't, you don't know how to explain that to people. People just think if you're a comedian, automatically you have to be funny. It's like, you gotta laugh, dude, or you just, I'm not for you, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right. You have to sit there and be like, even on, and that's one of the things, like even on a bad day, you still have to go and deliver.
Exactly.
Like we don't have emotions. We don't have feelings. We don't have like we're just dance, make us laugh. We're here to get away from our lives. It's like, I'm here to get away from my life. Could you guys just play along a little bit and make this a little more good for both of us?
Yes.
So crazy. So is that the weirdest place you've ever performed? Or, I mean, a laundromat's pretty weird.
I honestly, I think my body and my mind just blocks out all the weird places. I mean, I'm thinking where I have not performed. That's weird. I think I performed in, I mean, any parking lots, taco shops, barbecue bars. You know what I mean? I've performed on top of a fireplace in a cafeteria once, and I performed at the bottom of a staircase where the recess is happening and everybody just going, behind me, in front of me. I was doing an hour. Dude, you hear the cafeteria, you hear like all the students. There's kids sitting next to me just having a conversation. I went to malls just to like ask people if I could do jokes. All of it.
Yeah, I always enjoy finding a new weird place to perform, and I always, I go, oh, this is going to be awful, but it'll be good to have on the list, Because I always just go, oh, that's new. I haven't done that before, and so let me do that, even though I know it's going to be awful.
Yeah, just something different.
Yeah, like I did one. They were having some sort of party, and they had a buffet line, and I was literally standing right next to the serving dish. Of the line, so people would just come right up here and wait as I'm like telling jokes, and then they're like, oh, I'm like, oh, that looks good. You're gonna do, like it was literally right now. I could reach in and grab food and eat it if I wanted, and it was just so weird. You have this whole line of people just coming up right while you're trying to do, comedy, in your face, and just like, what am I doing? This is so crazy.
Dude, I think that's like half of our lives. I think.
Yeah.
What am I doing is half of our lives.
Yeah, why do we do this? I have no idea. And then you're like, oh yeah, I love it. We are talking with Jason Cheny, stand-up comedian extraordinaire. You can check his website out at jasoncheny.com. That's CHENY, Cheney. He also is putting out a podcast on YouTube called Recess Podcast. And you can also follow Jason on Instagram at Jason Cheny. So check that out. Tell us a little bit about the Recess podcast. What's that about?
Well, like I was the question you were asking me earlier about what inspired me, and it's really school. It's all the time, always. I just want to be on recess. Who doesn't? And we just want to bring the viewers and listeners the same feeling of hearing the recess bell and just like, be able to mess around and whatever outlandish, bizarre thing that comes to our head. Me and my friend, a comic, I think you know him as well, Will Bacart, I think. He's a good guy, and we're just, goofing off. And we want the listeners to just, relax and chill. We're just two goofy, stupid people. We talk about relationships. We talk about dating. I'm married. He's single, very sad. And nobody loves him. And no, but we could have two different perspectives, and we talk about comedy. And that's pretty much what it is. Hey, nice. Thank you so much, man, for having me on. and giving me some gems on, how to navigate on these social platforms.
Oh yeah, no problem. We're not quite done yet.
Oh yeah, go.
Get a few more questions.
Yeah.
I'd say you've been around it long enough now. What's some of the biggest mistakes you see younger or newer comics making?
I didn't mistakes that I'm making. What's one that you see? Like just
just going for shock, especially like on like an open mic, they people try to make the other comics laugh, which I understand why they do that, because you want that laughter, because you're just so new and you want some sort of laughter. But when you try to make other comics laugh, you start going with the weird and crazy twisted stuff, and that sort of stuff doesn't play, as you know, at the Comedy and Magic Club. That's not going to fly. You're never going to progress if you keep doing that type of humor. Or you just see people not recording their sets, or not having a goal, like we talked about when you go on stage.
I mean, we're all judgmental. We're comics, and that's all we do. We notice things. That's not within our idea of how it should be. We would notice it and go, "Oh, that's not the way." But I always try to remind because I'm still like this. I'm always like this. But I always try to remind myself, try not to do that when it comes to other people now, because it helps me not to be so critical, number one. And number two, it helps me, because if it works for you, if you don't want to write stuff down, because I've seen you've been their game, 23, 29 years. You've seen people who went from that's successful, not necessarily the funniest or the most appealing to the mass market. And I can't, in the beginning, I hated on that 100%. But then I'm like, well, that's what they want to do. They may not be the happiest, or they may be the happiest. I don't know that. And that has nothing to do with my happiness. So it's like, if they do that and they're successful, great. But I can't do that for me, because I'm in searching and try to evolve in my personal life and also my career, and I can't do what they do. So that's what I try to constantly remind myself, to not do that, because they did it that way. So it could be successful even if they are catering to the comics. It may not last forever or a long time. Maybe in some points they're like, hey, I do need to sell tickets, or whatever it may be. Maybe they get a movie role. Maybe it pivots to a writing job. I don't know, but all those things happen for that. We both seen it happen to.
And that's a fair point. Absolutely, that's an absolutely fair point. I always try to, when I talk to somebody, I ask, what are your goals in comedy? What do you want to do? Do you want to just go have fun and whatever? Then do whatever. But if you're looking to become the MC of a place, or you're looking to get into a particular club, then you go, okay, well, here's kind of how the business works, and this is what the business is thinking. So you may want to focus on some of these things.
I agree.
So so did you have any perception of stand-up before coming to the U.S.?
No, I never even knew the art form existed until the very, very first time that I watched stand-up in 9th grade was Russell Peters. That I didn't even know what that was. I was like, why is this guy, I didn't even think of anything about it. I was like, this is a weird thing. I don't know what it is, and I didn't care for it. But I just remember my friend showed it to me, and I was like, I don't know what this is. People are laughing. I don't know why. Because I also, I wasn't speaking, my English wasn't too good then either. So I probably didn't understand fully. Yeah.
That's really.
For the culture shock thing, I don't really. I think I was too young, and I think I was, and also I think I'm on the spectrum a little bit, because a lot of the times I don't really get references or bits. But the culture shock, I don't really focus or think about that a lot. I kind of just try to like, I don't know, personal growth right now to me is really important, just because I just want to be happy, and I want to make sure I'm doing the right thing, whatever that is, um, and live a meaningful life, really, you know. And but all I do know is that I love messing around, and like I love making people laugh, and I just know that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Now,
I know that I'll always love comedy for that reason.
so I read in your bio that you were you perform in Asia, and
Mhm.
I wonder what is the difference like in performing in the United States versus Asian countries.
You know, I feel some of the jokes that I do hit better here. Some of the jokes I do hit better there. It's kind of like, it's just, they all get it. It's just how close it is to you, you know, because like if you, for example, go to a Latino room, there's certain things that they get more. If you go to an urban room, there's certain things they get more. I mean, they all, obviously we're all humans, so we could all relate. But I'm just saying, there's certain things that are a little more prominent in the culture that it would just hit home better. But besides that, there isn't, like, obviously the more because when you go back to Asia, I don't really perform in Mandarin. I perform in English, and all the expatriates who go back there who speak English, they get the immigrant experience better, because so it's like, oh, that guy that's doing stand up is the same person that I am. It's just he's talking about it. But doing the same bit towards like you know, Americans in America, they may not get it, but they understand it, so they'll laugh, you know. But you know, it just hits different. I think that's the only thing. But
Gotcha.
People get jokes.
Gotcha. Yeah, absolutely. And it's you know, you touched on something that's really important. I think is people may not necessarily relate to everything you're doing, but they understand the greater emotion. You know, that feeling of being somewhere new, fish out of water, uncomfortable, whatever that is. And so that carries over no matter you know what ethnicity or what language. Yeah. So that's a really valuable thing to try to think about, and for people to incorporate into their material if you want to perform globally. So again, we're talking with Jason Cheny, stand-up comedian. Again, you can check him out at jasoncheny.com. He also has the Recess podcast on YouTube, and you can follow him on Instagram at Jason Cheny. Jason, we're going to talk a little bit about an organization that you wanted to spotlight today. And I just wanted to give you the opportunity and tell us a little bit about charitywater.org. Oops, there we go.
So the thing is, for me, there's so many things. I mean, there's so many people to help in America. And I am always in constant reminder that I'm not doing enough, because I don't feel like I'm doing anything of tangible service for others. Some people may disagree and they go, oh, but you make people laugh, you know? But I just feel still that I should be doing more. And I always feel like nothing is enough, you know? And even if I can do it, even if I have enough time or money to do it, I'll donate, but not as much as I should, you know?
Right.
So I feel really guilty. But one thing is, yes, there's Americans and our brothers and sisters who are Americans already that needs help around us. But I always think of the countries, the third world countries like India or a lot of parts of Asia and Africa, Nigeria, you know, all those. It's just, I feel like those people are the most needy. Like they don't really have clean water, and water is the number one thing that, you know, oxygen, then it's water and food. That's what you need to survive, the basic needs, and they don't even have that. And so that's why I feel like water is very necessary for anybody to have. And the fact that some people don't have it is crazy to me. And that's why I chose charity water.
Yeah, it's
and they're in all those countries. They're in all those countries.
Yeah, I was looking at their site, and they seem to they do a lot of great work. And again, if you're interested in checking them out and helping out, bring clean water to people around the world who need it to survive, check out www.charitywater.org. Once again, that's charitywater.org. And we're going to wrap up in just a second, but I want to say thanks to all the viewers and listeners for hanging out with us today. Again, talking with Jason Cheny. So check him out, jasoncheny.com. You can follow him on Instagram at Jason Cheny. And again, check out his upcoming podcast on YouTube called Recess. And again, if you want to get in contact with me, have any comments for me, you can reach out to me. I live stream 3 days a week on Twitch. That's www.twitch.tv/comedybrian. And Jason, thank you so much for taking time out today and sharing your story and your knowledge, and looking forward to getting back out there and performing with you.
Thank you, man. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'll see you in San Diego.
Sounds good, man.